there is yet a third interpretation of Wagner's string, and this is where it gets really interesting for the evolutionary biologists. So in the left paper it says Wagner and Science, Twilight of the Gods Across the Multiverse. So multiverse is multiple universes, so a sort of theory that has gained some traction in cosmology, multiple universes sort of in support of the anthropic principle, if you will. No topic too big when you talk about Wagner, apparently. So the paper doesn't really claim that Wagner was a scientist. He wasn't. Nothing could be further from the truth. But Wagner was very good at anticipating many things. As far as evolution is concerned, evolution of the outer, but also of the inner. And the right paper does sort of a head-to-head comparison between Darwin and Wagner, the evolution. And so they use Tristan and Isolde as their example. Main reason, I think, is because both The Origin of Species and Tristan all got published in the same year, 1859. But the gist of the matter is really sort of, they ask the question, what did Wagner anticipate? What did he sense at the time? What did his intuition tell him? And how did it hold up against the test of time when you sort of compare it to modern science? And this is really sort of the take-home message for the third meaning of the ring. That's evolutionary psychology. So the power of Wagner's artistic accomplishments can be traced to the psychological authenticity of his understanding of the human condition, an understanding that now has a basis in Darwinian evolutionary psychology, where it is recognized we have reached our stage in evolutionary development through a process of struggle, violence, and passion. This natural selection process has forged our genetic makeup, crafting our brain's neurological physiology. If you like DNA, you're going to love these motifs, because you have everything you see like in human DNA. You have like fusions, you have inversions, translocations, variations, all of that happens in DNA happens in these motifs. And I think arguably the biggest piece of scholarly work in all of sort of Wagner revision is an audio guide by a fellow called Derek Cook. What he did basically, there's 200 some motifs in Wagner's ring, which is an awful lot. But what he basically showed is that they all go back to only a handful of basic motifs. So like there's nature, there's power. So what he does basically, he shows you sort of what is the ancestral motif and what are all the variations. He basically hands you the phylogenetic tree of these motifs. It's really spectacular. So you might wonder, like, if you want to see the ring, do you have to know all of these 200 motifs? No, you don't. So really it really sort of enters your subconscious, and you sort of follow the story as it sort of bobs along. But it's really good fun. So a couple of years ago, I started really looking into all of this. So now I understand sort of how you get manipulated along the way. So Wagner really knew what he was doing. Sort of when you sort of look at these phylogenetic trees, you really start to understand how you're being manipulated. And all of that 50 years before Freud and Jung. So quite something. No better example for enlightenment than Zarathustra, Strauss, Nietzsche. If you look at the beginning, CGC, and the next one, CGC, GC. So that is enlightenment, radiant C. So our school's logo, we have a globe, right? Because of global enterprise, and we have a little flame on that. What is that? That's knowledge. That's enlightenment, right? So Mike, make a note. If you commission a theme song for the school, you have to demand C major. No two ways about that. So this is our pedigree. For a trained geneticist, this is a real drama. So lots of the drama revolves obviously around Sigmund and Sieglinde and Siegfried. So Sigmund and Sieglinde are twins, mind you. And they have a son, Siegfried. So you start to wonder, like, what is the homozygosity in that Siegfried guy, you know? And is that even compatible with life? And that sort of, at a minimum, it very much explains many of his actions in the drama. And this is sort of where the GE comes in, why I have to think about estimating equations. At the end of Die Walküre, the second to last note in the first act is a very dissonant chord. And this is when Siegfried gets conceived. And every time that chord sounds, I have to think about Liang and Ziegler. Because like GEE is often what bails us out when you have this complicated relationship in pedigrees, but not even here. What's even more striking to a geneticist is if you look at what kind of species mate here and reproduce. So a donkey and a horse can mate and they can have a mule, but the mule is not fertile. Here we have sort of Wotan. He needs to get a son. He needs to have another ace in the game here. So Wotan up here, this guy in red are the gods, mates with a human. We don't know who she is, but we know she's human. So, and not only do they have offspring, but the offspring is fertile. So this is absolute killer from a genetics perspective. What that means is that during meiosis, the chromosomes have to line up perfectly. So if I wasn't videotaped, I would tell you, I think this is what Francis Collins means when he says he sees a God in the human DNA. He just talks about the genomic similarity here. So, sorry about that. Moving right along, with that, I like to sort of show off my versatility and go beyond Richard Wagner and quote from Richard Strauss, Opus 10, Zueignung, dedication. Thank you.
Join us for our next Dean's Lecture, where we celebrate the appointment or promotion of a faculty member to the level of professor at the Bloomberg School of Public Health.